So with that, Pete's going to come up and share a story for tonight. And that's the only introduction I got.
There you go. Okay, Pete, alcoholic.
Hey, Pete.
This is new to me, so here it goes. Sobriety date's January 21st, 2014. I have a sponsor. That wasn't my first sobriety date. I have quite a few, actually. This has been a long road getting to where I am at today. Started out, as your basic average kid, Catholic school, knew right from wrong, altar boy, and all that. And I had no plans of saying I wanted to be an alcoholic. I had other dreams and hopes. Through school, I was just your average kid. I was able to blend in with whatever group I had to blend in with. I was a chameleon, basically. Jocks, all the groups that we do. I really didn't do much drinking during high school, but I know the first time I drank I was 15, and it was gin, and I know right then and there it was right off the bat. I liked it and wanted more, and I drank until I pretty much got sick. Then after that I didn't really touch it, probably one more time. Where my drinking career really started off was after I got done high school, the college thing. Was always looking for back in the day was beer balls, kegs, and all that. And you can always find me. I didn't move spots too much. I stayed right next to the keg. Pour some for you, pour some for me. Is what I did, beer ball. And if it was somebody's house or whatever, you would always find me in the kitchen right next to the fridge. And that's just usually how I did. I never, even at that, I just never drank normal. I never did anything normal. It was always, I knew something was always off, but I always just, shook it off. And that's how my drinking was. And I would always just drink in excess. My on and off switch was busted on whatever. And I would do it, drink until I couldn't drink, pass out, whatever it was. Some stuff people would, have to remind me of usually what I did the night before or whatever. And I used to just play it off and, just say I like to party and all that. And then, what was it? And I always found that the group of people, too, by the way, that drank like me. Brought me to, and also, by the way, I also did other stuff, but it's AA, so we'll keep it at that. I got my first DUI at, 21. And I remember, like I told others, it was the Mike Tyson, Buster Douglas fight, if I'm correct. And I remember, we're dating my time. And I remember that night, I had no clue. I just remember it was pretty much head-on collision. It was bad. And I'll never forget it. I still get flashbacks to this day at times, depending with the police lights. It still goes right back, like it was yesterday. And the hard part was, it happened to be my dad's friend. It wasn't a good time for that moment. So this is how I got introduced into the AA program. Back then it was 48 hours, and I had to do in jail. And then I had to go to 2 AA meetings. And I was down at the 12 Keys Club is where I had to go. And I remember going to the 12 Keys. And if anybody ever been there, there's a ramp. And I remember being so scared. And I was like, but I need to get my card signed. And I just remember I'm no alcoholic, but I got to do my court requirements. And I remember walking in and going in there. And there they go around and you say, Pete, alcoholic, yada, yada. And I remember when it was going to come to my turn, I'm watching everybody. And I'm like, man, dude, I'm no alcoholic. I'm just here to get my card signed. And I remember before that meeting, I tried to get it signed, but they won't do it. They're like, no, you got to sit and wait. And I was like, okay. So I remember them coming around. So I said, I'm Pete, I'm an alcoholic. And I remember these people are telling their stories, sharing and all that. And I'm like, and I'm just sitting here on my judgment pedestal, I'm just young. I just had a little too much fun that night. And that's not me. And I was still young. I wanted to have fun. Remember doing what I had to do. I did my 48 hours. I got my paper signed. And I'm like, this time we'll just try and control the drinking there. And if you're an alcoholic, in my case, it doesn't take long for that fear to subside. And it did not take that long. And I used to fool myself that okay, we'll just try and do it. But it's within a few weeks, I was right back to do what I did. I was going to the bar. I used to have to pregame. By this time, we were starting to rev up the engine in the drinking career here. And I used to just do it. I would have to drink before I go out like 11 o'clock at night, just so that friends wouldn't see how much I drank. And then I'd go out to the bar with everybody, and we would, have a fun time. And every time last call came, I was always that guy that went up to the bar and ordered a bunch of drinks. I'd be like, yeah, the guys, and it wasn't. It was for me. So I would sit there and I would house everything down. And if I had a takeout place, you guarantee I was getting done that stuff, and then going to get takeout to go home. And that's how I drank all the time. I'd go home sometimes, singing to the porcelain god, countless times saying, I'm not going to do this no more. And then as soon as I go back, I do the same stuff. It was always Thursday, Fridays, Saturdays, I'd do it. And then I try and regroup. Didn't take long before I was on Sunday football. Then it was Monday night football. And then it just happened to fill in Tuesday and Wednesday. And this is just how I always did it. And at that time, the job I worked at, it was like a group of us. The same stuff. We would always go as Marie's. That was the place. And we would just go, and we'd only go for happy hour. Well, when's happy hour start? 4 until close, all the time, until the ugly lights came on. And that was nonstop. I'd come, do it again, say I'm not doing it. Now back when I was in my early 20s, I could drink until, sometimes I'd drink until I went to work. It was easy. Then I, 9, 10 o'clock, I'd do work, and I'd be like, I'm not doing it. And as soon as 2, 3 o'clock come around, you get that second wind, and okay, when we going out? And we would just do the same circle over and over. And then, what was it? And then I had the bright idea, try and get in a relationship. And, the girl, the mother of my children actually was to be. I was like, well, I'll do this family thing. Just do it. And, I held her hostage. She was literally my hostage. We did the house. Then we had 2.3 kids, minivan, white picket fence, all that stuff we talk about. And I just try and be sneaky on my drinking and all that. Used to have to tell her, I'm running out to the store. Go to the store, go run to the liquor store, I used to get Gatorade bottles. Hurry up, dump it in, drink it, and then head back. It was like clockwork. We would fight, and I figured as long as I'm paying the bills and we do Chuck E. Cheese's or Friendly's, get ice cream, I'm dad of the year. Now, if you didn't know me, I'm telling you how great of a dad I was and all this. But let me tell you, I was not present. These kids and my ex were inconveniencing my drinking all the time. I couldn't wait to get them to bed. Literally, I missed out on a lot. And I'd just be like, get them to bed. Or sometimes I would just, don't bother me. And that's literally how it was. And I never planned on doing that. I always, before I had my children, I was like, I'm going to be the best dad. Because I did not have that role model, let's just say, in my case. And I swore that I would not not be like that. And somehow, the alcohol just takes over, and I become the person that I don't want to be. And it's like, wow. So anyway, we're supposed to, me and her, she's starting to get tired of my BS at this time. And I can't blame her. I mean, she's basically running the household. I'm barely even trying to work. I can't wait to get done work and go do what I want. Hey, can I hang out with the guys? And she said no. Yeah, I was going to make her life miserable at home. So it was like basically bully her into doing it. And that's how it went. I remember she was like, "Oh, I'm going to leave or whatever." I'm like, "Whatever." And I used to play that game. I took her for granted. And I did that. And I remember she's like, "I'm going to leave or whatever." And I remember going to my first in and out patient. That was living room on that one. I remember I was supposed to go in on my time to go in. And I remember I couldn't go because I was messed up. And she's like, and that started a whole big fight doing that. And I remember I went in, they tested me and all that, and I was hot and all that, but they let me stay. And I remember just going for a little bit. It was only like, I think a week or two. And I was like, I told her, I'm like, I don't want to do that no more. I'm okay. Like, I got this thing under control. And then some time would go by after that. I'm talking probably not even a week or two again before I start doing the same routine over and over to go out, whatever, come back home. Fights would begin, and it was just over and over with her. Then I remember the one time she decided to pick up and leave. She left with the kids, went to her parents' house. I was like, she'll be back. And I did what I did. I'll just keep it to me. I was a good person. Tried my best to hold my stuff together. And that was a challenge. She'd come back. Okay, we play house. And then I'm like, okay, the smoke cleared. I'll go back. And I did the same stuff. Now, this time we were supposed to do the whole marriage thing, but she called that off. That was embarrassing, by the way. You got to call your family members up and tell them. And we tried to, fib it as best as we could. Time go on, and eventually she did. She took the kids and went to her parents. She wanted nothing to do with the house. By this time, she's just, obviously I get it. She had enough of my stuff and all that. And she took them. And then here's where the real fun began, because I had no more gatekeeper, no one nagging me, no one nothing. So it was just me. And I remember I was in full steam at this time, full steam in it with the alcohol and the other stuff. And you couldn't tell me no different. I thought I was living a life, but man, it was a lonely feeling being in a house all by yourself. And you don't have your kids, nothing. You don't have your ex. And you're just there, and all it was day in, day out, Groundhog's Day, was just, I'd wake up, drink for work, and just a vicious cycle until by this time I'm drinking a handle of Banker's vodka, $13.23, and I would drink it. I couldn't drink a pint, I couldn't drink a fifth, because the fifth. When I used to try and drink that, I'd be like, okay, this is it for the night. And as soon as I drank that, I'd be off to the races. I used to go and be like, I would drive around literally like a maniac and just throw my bottles. I did all that. And let me retrogress a little bit here, telling her about her. My ex, to go back in a little bit of time here, she's a neat freak, OCD, whatever you want to call that. And I used to hide all my bottles everywhere. We're talking, I was strategizing here. And I used to hide them near the shed, used to hide them in the closet. I hid them everywhere. And I remember the one time coming home, it was spring. She was spring cleaning. And I remember she came out and there was all my bottles. It was literally, my table was filled with bottles. She's like, what's this? I'm like, oh man, my gig's up. And I remember what was the best defense is going offense. And I remember that. Yeah, that's exactly what I did. I went on the offense, just started yelling and all that stuff. But it just popped in my head. And that's how my drinking was. And to go back, okay, but this time, jump forward again, I'm just in my house by myself. And it was nonstop. This time, I'm not even, this is the late stages of the game here. And I'm not even working at the time. I'm not even eating. I'm not even showering for weeks on end. Brushing my teeth. Just existing. My house was literally my jail cell. And I didn't come out. The only time I was the creeps come out at night. That song, any old heads here? Testing. And and that was me. Like I would literally try and go get. And when I would go out, and then in the morning, like if I woke up before or whatever, and I was out of alcohol, and and my skin was crawling, it would be like, I'd be like, oh man, dude, watching that clock. And I remember I used to make fun of people that would be at the liquor store at 9 o'clock. And I remember my first time going there. It was 10 of 9. I couldn't wait for that door to open. I didn't even take a shower. I had my jacket, my hat, because my hair was oily. And I, brush, potpourri, and all that. And I remember going there. I remember the guy opening it up, and I'm sitting here joking like it's, hey, how's it going, and all that. And I remember getting my bottle. I just remember shaking. I remember the driving, the feeling like, I needed it, man. I was dry heaving. I remember I got my bottle and going out into the car, and I couldn't wait, and I used to gag. And I remember having to try and take my drink just so that I could function. I remember literally all the time, 'cause by this time I was shaking bad. And I just remember spilling it and then just trying to get it into, I could get that feeling of somewhat sensibility. I would go home because I got my little, treat there. And for half an hour to an hour, I would be, I guess, what we would call normal for that time. And I felt okay, but then, I would just drink until I got my day load on, and then fall asleep or whatever it was, and then wake up. And just do the same thing over and over. This time I got my second Dewey and doing all that. I remember having to call the ex up and say, hey, can you come and get me? And I would explain to her that I got a DUI. And that didn't go over too well and all that. But she was a trooper. I manipulated her into to going to get it. So I come back, do what I did, and fast forward just another, not even. Remember, it was the Super Bowl, and I remember drinking, and I didn't even have that much that night. By this time, it didn't. I was playing whatever. Like sometimes I could drink the whole fifth, and then sometimes I would just drink a little, as it says in the big book. And I didn't drink that much, but I remember dropping off a friend at work in the morning and coming back. It was right near Truman High School in Levittown, and I had an '89 Honda Accord. And I remember just driving full blast, and right before I hit the back of the truck, pickup truck, I just remember coming through the mist, and I went full force into the back of the truck, and thank God I didn't hurt that guy. And I busted the windshield with my forehead. Now these steering wheels, I don't think that one was, I broke it. I broke 4 ribs at that time. It didn't tickle. And I remember going to St. Mary's Hospital and being there, and the nurses, as I understand, weren't too thrilled to be with me. And I remember them just trying to get out. They were being rude. I get it. And it was like, they would ask me, like, do you have anybody to come and get you? Can't somebody get you? And I remember telling them, no, I by this time nobody would answer my calls. I've already ran through everybody at this time. I mean, literally, I was a leper on them. And I'm like, nah. And they were like, okay, well, we'll get you a taxi. I'm like, oh, okay. Now listen, I'm in my hospital gown. I got 4 broken ribs. My head's busted up. They took all the glass out of it. And I remember the taxi going home. And what's the first thought in my head? You know, you figure most people would be like, okay, you know, wake up call. Not this guy. My whole time I'm just contemplating, like, I want to get a drink. And I was almost going back and forth about like, you know, do I ask this taxi driver to take me to take it? Now I couldn't, to the liquor store, but it was the takeout. And I remember I struggled with that. He dropped me off, and no sooner did I go couch surfing for change. Like somehow I don't know how, at this time I really had no money. All my credit cards were declined. I mean, I was at the bottom. It was horrible. But I remember going and walking a couple blocks with busted ribs and getting my, it was the 40s of Thunder, whatever. And I remember because it hurt. It hurt walking, and I had to carry the 240s in the bag. And I didn't care. You know, I'm going by a school, my neighbors. And I didn't care. I just wanted it. And until I got home, sat down, I couldn't even breathe. I mean, it hurt. And I just remember sitting there, like, okay, and this is it. And I just do that over and over. And then here's where it goes. By this time, I'm getting the foreclosure. I got the big red sticker slapped on the door like the scarlet letter on my door, and I didn't care. And I had to pony up for the DUI on that. I remember going to Doylestown and talking to the public defender and saying, hey, Nick, am I going away for this time? He's like, yeah, you're going to do a little bit of time in Bucks. And I'm like, okay. So by this time, I'm sitting here strategizing like, okay, well, I'm going to jail, court, before my house gets foreclosed. I'm like, I'm just going to go. I'm going to go full tilt here. And that's how I did it, right up until the end. I remember my court date. I was literally, my buddy was going to take me. I went. He had to wake me up. It was already, cattle call was at 9 o'clock. It was like 9:30, 10 o'clock or something. We had to hurry up and get in. I did not pack nothing for my house. I left that house full. I didn't even arrange for nothing. I just knew I was going to court, and I remember walking in the court, and I'm like, they're gonna flag me. You know, Judge Boylan's gonna get me, and I mean, I was tuned in. I didn't even shower, nothing. Like, I'm telling you, I was greasy hair. I look at my photo and I laugh, and I'm like, wow. Greasy hair, didn't brush my teeth, haven't taken a shower, and I got to go to court. Judge Boylan came to my turn. They do the ARDs and all first, and then the more whatever. And I remember Judge Boylan saying, offering basically like, do you have any place that you can stay, like house arrest? And I'm like, no, because by this time my house is getting foreclosed. And they're like, can you stay with anybody? And I'm like, and I remember telling her, I just said, I have nobody at this time. I have nobody, nothing. Nada. And so I was kind of looking forward to going away for my little bit of time, because I knew what else. I knew AA, but I was like, and I never really even gave it a chance at that time. And I was looking forward to going away just to get a break from me. I was like, okay, well, I'll get clean and do all that. So I went away for a little bit of time. Now, if you're like me, I do good in supervised places. In jail, I'm the model. I don't even want to call myself an inmate because it was bucks. Come on, bro. It's not. It was bucks. And I knew a lot of people. And I excelled. I got into a routine there. And I was feeling good. I'm like, oh, it's going good. And I got a job in the kitchen. I'm like, I'm eating good and all that. I remember them offering me, I took the alcohol classes, and they were like, do you want to go to the Aldi house? And that's how I got up in this area. And I was like, they're like, we'll get you in. I'm like, oh. So I remember when it was my turn to E-up, to leave. That's where I went, was to the Aldi house. And then that's my first recovery house. And I went to Aldi, I come out, Andrews Hall. That's how I got into the Doylestown area. And I did good. I had structure. I just couldn't structure myself. And I did it. It doesn't take long. I did meetings. I say I had a sponsor, but I didn't really have a sponsor. I was hanging out at AA meetings. I was loitering. Literally loitering with a tent. And I would get it. I'd be talking back. By this time, talking to my kids. She would let me hang with them, and I did whatever. There was a point I couldn't see the kids and all that. They didn't want to bother. She wouldn't take my calls. So I come out, and the kids, I start to get work again. I got the 2 cheeseburger come up, as they call it. And, life is good, man. I'm like, yeah, I'm doing the program and all. And I remember booking off of Aldi and going into like a sober house. At this time, I'm not really into the program. I would go show face, gossip, eat some food, and all that. Step work, I always did 1, 2, 3. And then, it's like baseball. Then I'm out. And literally, that's just how I did. I get some time, and I remember I sit there and just not doing nothing, not just existing. And then that was my first, I remember I was coming up on 2 years. And then I went back out. And I just remember, I figure I was okay. And as they say, the progression, it was there. As soon as I went back out. And here's the best part. Hey, I don't care. This is AA. No longer holds me. I remember going back out on mouthwash. I was drinking mouthwash like it was 40s. I remember I couldn't. Here's how messed up I am. And I laugh at myself. I literally can make jokes about myself. I wouldn't go to the liquor store because I didn't want to do it. But yet, here I am. I'm going 2 for $5 at Acme because that's where I live, right there in Doylestown. And drinking them like it was a 40. That's crazy. And at the time, I had a job at a motel. And I remember being flagged. They had dude, this is a trip. I'm flagged out, flat out. They got an ambulance coming out. I'm at the front desk, and I'm like, I just laid out. I remember seeing that boss within a year ago, and I was scared. And we'll get fast forward, and I remember seeing him. I was like, petrified. But I went out of that job, and in an ambulance, like literally was flagged. I'm all messed up. And so here it goes. Here goes my in and out story. My yearlies. Then that one I'd go, went to Eagleville. Then it just doesn't take, the vicious cycle of doing nothing, not doing anything on anything. Eagleville, and I'll be like, okay, I'm going to come out, I'm going to do the sponsored thing, I'm going to do it. I went to the Fountain House, and it's no longer there. And I do great, man. I'm going to do this, I'm back into mingling again, people I know. And it wouldn't take long for like, I'm getting my kids again. I'm seeing them. I got work again. I forget about literally what I was. Just do it over. And then I get another yearly chip, everybody giving me a pat on the back. Hey, you're doing it, man. And I would just do it. I think I got, 3 or 4 yearly chips. 3 of them from just doing nothing. So I come out, do it, boom, pull the rug. I remember my ex telling me, the kids need this and that. And I remember telling her, I got something to tell you. And just hearing the air let out of her. Like she knew what was coming. The big letdown, telling her, I can't do it. I got to go back to rehab. And the defeat and over. Felt for her. I felt for the kids. It just wasn't there. Come back, do it again. Go back in. Come out to the program. I mean, it's just the same. Not doing the program, not working, nothing. Literally. So we could just skip all that. I mean, I could give you war stories left and right of what not to do. They say you can do 2 things, what to do and what not to do. I am literally the prime example of what not to do in the program of Alcoholics Anonymous. I have nothing else. I could sit here and tell you funny, and I'm not ashamed. This is what made me and brought me to the road I am here today in front of you. The part I want to tell you is on my last stint. At this time, I went to Keystone, and it got so bad, and I didn't know it was going to be my last time. And I remember my buddy trying to get me in. God bless his soul, Billy. And I remember thinking, he has a great heart, dude. I love that dude. I remember getting to me, and I'm thinking, okay, like I'll wait this dude out. And that's where I got my sobriety. And I'm like, it's snowing. I had it all planned out. It was Martin Luther King Day. And I'm like, well, can't go to the liquor store. At this time, Muggs in Doylestown was still there right next to the Volvo. And I'm like, I'm going to go. I already had a plan. Man, little did I know, Billy held me hostage. And I thank him for that. Because I didn't know it was going to be the start of where I'm at today. Him and Mike F. I look back and I'm just like, wow, I guess everything was supposed to be the way it was supposed to be. And he did. He kept me for 5 days basically. And it was be like, we're just going to have breakfast. And it did. And he's like, why don't you just hang out? And I remember just being there, I want to go home. I want to go drink. And he wouldn't let me. And in 5 days, I just detoxed. It's not the way to do it. Probably should do it under medical attention. But I didn't sleep at all. He was looking out for me. I'm like, dude, I didn't sleep. I couldn't sleep. The racy minds, I couldn't stand myself, literally. It was horrible. And he'd be like, dude, you didn't sleep? And he'd go, anyway, he got me into Aldi. Aldi got me into Keystone. They told me I had a 2-week waiting period. And I'm like, psh. At that time, it's like 2 weeks. And I'm like, well, what do I do? By this time, I had a network in Doylestown. And I'm just going to meetings. I just remember feeling like I'm starting to feel good. It doesn't take long. I'm starting to feel good about myself. And I remember like, I don't know, do I really need to go to this rehab? Like, I'm doing good right now. I'm going to meetings. I'm going to a lot of meetings and all that. And they're like, no, you're gone. So I came out. And here's the thing is I get out and I'm like, this time I've had enough. I mean, literally. I mean, when you spend your 39th birthday in Horsham Clinic and a lockdown ward getting your 39th birthday cake as a cookie, and you got people yelling at themselves, banging their heads, and I'm like, I really, like, I'm worn down. I've had enough at this time. I'm like, I gotta stop. I gotta stop. I'm only fooling myself. I'm like, I really gotta give this a whirl here. I just can't do it. I can't keep on breaking my kid's heart. Can't keep on doing it to me. I didn't plan on being like that. I just couldn't do it no more. So it's, like I said this before, it's the last thing I wanted to do. But it's the first thing that actually worked was doing the step work. And I really got into it. I was all gung ho, did what I was supposed to do, meditate, pray. I'm like, this is nice. It's working for me. Going good. It was going good. Being involved. Doing service, unity, and recovery. Doing what the triangle is. Doing big book step meetings, sponsor, and all that. And then life starts to happen, and I'm still going along. I'm still doing what I think, sponsoring people, trying to sponsor, and all. And here's my problem that I got is it doesn't take long to come creeping back in and just not wanting to do nothing, just coasting basically. All we have is daily reprieve, contingent on the maintenance of our spiritual program. And by this time, I got the job. I got my license back. I didn't drive from 09 to 2016. I got by. It was amazing. I would be able to get the meetings. People, I thought that if I wanted to get to a meeting, I got them on. And I tried hard. And I did. But, now I got my license. The kids are seeing me, daily. They don't have to wonder where Dad is. And the part is like, I'm doing everything right on the outside world. I got it going on. Life's going good. I have, my first stable place of living. Work. I haven't abandoned the job. I haven't pulled the old Irish exit out on jobs. Just Houdini, just walk out, or been let go. Like I'm doing what I guess they would call out there the normal people stuff. Like I'm doing, man. And for me, it's trying to keep schedule and doing all that. I just wouldn't. Doesn't take long. Life is going good. And I can lose track of what I'm doing. But here's from all my in and outs, my yearly chips, my rehab stints, and all that. I've learned that Pete's in full Pete mode at this time. Self is, I'm wearing me, and sometimes I don't even want to be with me. And I'm like, man, I gotta do something. Life is good here. I'm doing, like I said, I'm in my kids' lives. They know their dad's here. My ex is loving it because we're co-parenting and she's getting, what she needs, money-wise and all that. Like doing good there. But I'm getting lost in myself. And that's where I'm at currently. And that's what I want to talk about. Is the bedevilments and the isms and just the restless irritable discontent. And I don't want to go back out there. I literally don't. I don't think I'm going to go back out there, but I'm like, phew, boom, I got to start back. I got to get back into a home group, get back into service, taking a position in that, and just trying to do it. I mean, it's no fun being out there, and I don't want to give it up. I don't. I really don't, man. I'm not don't want to be dramatic here, but doing that. And I wanted to say is the steps and all. And I did the steps, and I remember popping, and I had that in the back of my mind. I know what it was like. Life was good. You could have had whatever happening, And I didn't care. Like, I knew I was going to be all right. And I missed that. And I'm like, don't want to do it no more. Like, I don't want to go back out. And I know what I got to do. And it's I got to get back into it. Get back. So where I'm currently at right now is back doing the step work over to try and take care of, because I got lost in everything. I was basically working the steps backwards. Is what it is. I would tell you everything was fine. But like inside, dude, I got a war going on. You know, my head, man, it's a garbage head at times. Not at times, it's garbage. And I got a program that I'm not sitting here tapping in. God, I'm not even like, whoa. God, I want God on call. Literally on call. Like, yeah, Burger King, pull up my way. And that's basically what I would do. Like, yo, here, I like the number 6. Take care of this. Foxhole prayers, whatever it is. Like, yo, just get me out of this jam. And it's like, I got to live this program. And this fine gentleman, I remember him saying, is this program isn't for people who want it or need it. It's for people who take action. And that's what this is. Take action. I got to get myself in there, because I know from prior experience that I'm like an hourglass. I know the clock's ticking if I don't take care of what I'm supposed to be doing. And that's prayer and meditation. And that's the beauty of going back through all this. You know, I just got lost. Literally got lost in that. And it's like, wow. Just looking back on it, I am, to be honest with you, like, in all reality, I'm blessed, but I want the inside. I don't have one of the great speeches. The steps 1 through, life has become unmanageable. And I'm like, yeah, I knew that. Drunk and sober. And that's where I'm at. Trying to clear house right now. Get all that stuff out of me. And all that. And I made a covenant this last time. And the third step for that, I was going to do this stuff. And like I said, life just crept back in. Literally. And I'm like, phew. Doing the amends, like I just remember doing it. And it's like, I got to stay focused, because it doesn't take for all the, all the shiny toys and all this stuff, the escalades, as they say, to take me out of the game. Cunning, baffling, powerful. And that rings in my head constant. Like, I know it's waiting out there if I don't stay on top of my game. And that's what I don't want. Like, I literally, like, I've come too far, man. We're talking, I could sit here and chew your ear off. War stories, stuff that, like I said, to do it. But I got to stay on point. It's, I'm just an undisciplined person. Doesn't take long for me to unravel and all that. And I don't want to give up what I have, children's life and all that. And I got to stay on point with this. Yeah. What? Disney? I can loop this if you want and respect the time. And like I said, listen, I'm president of my father's life. And I don't mention all the stuff I've done. I mean, people that know me in here with my kids. Like, I'm employable now. Like I said, I haven't abandoned my house. My kids, they could tell you. And I almost think I'm bragging. That's why I don't talk about this stuff too much. But like, my kids literally going from my son saying, is daddy ever going to come around? And I remember them words, they cut like a knife. To now it's, what are we doing? I got to play basketball with my son. I got to bake with my daughter. We're going to be doing stuff. As my kids would say, are you bringing the heat? I love it. My kids, they're teenagers. And that's the thing is, my daughter just turned 16 and my son's 17. I got a 23-year-old. And it's like, they know, like, I'm just that dad that come in. We've gone to Vegas. I did Disney. But I've done so many other little things. When I go down, we're always doing something. I just got done taking my daughter to Broadway. Yeah, we've done that actually quite a bit. Just last weekend. And it's not that. It's like I get to be there, and they still want to be with this dude, and that's what I'm trying to get back. Like there's so many countless things that I've done, and they know. They know when Dad said he's going to be there. It's a guarantee, and I don't want to give that up. That's why I ain't going back and redoing the step work here. It's like, I am blessed, like when I look at it. And it's like, I look back, I'm like, man, I'm doing what I guess other people do. The normies. It's like, and I truly don't want to give that up. But it takes work for a guy like me, a real alcoholic. It's at page 21. It's not the quote. I can quote you that book left and right, which is what I wanted to share also. I used to think self-knowledge availed is nothing. Yeah, if I just learned and did everything, that I would be fine. And it's so much more that this program is. Once the spiritual maladies ever come, we straighten out mentally and physically. I'll quote this book to you left and right. But living this book and doing what this program says is another ball game. Because I'm always coming self-reliant, self. I get in my way. If I get out of my way, I do good. But once I start getting back, I get plans and designs and all this stuff. And it doesn't take. And I've come too far, and I've ruined my kids' lives. My ex, I'm a friend. I'm just everything, everything I wanted to be. I used to sit in my bottle. Me and my bottle. Bottle was the master. And I used to think of this stuff, and here I am living it. I am living the dream, literally. And I'm just wasting it away, but I'm like, hey, I'm here. I don't want to do that. It's come too far, man. I love this program. I couldn't pay this program enough. I am indebted. It's given me a life. And on that note, I think I'm going to end this. I'll just be looping. Thank you.
I have asked Seth to read a vision for you. Yeah, I got it up here.
November 2019, Ambler.